Just wanted to touch base with you guys real quick this evening on a topic that we used to talk about a great deal here on this channel, but because of the algorithms and the powers that be, we had to shift all of the content over to the Patreon channel. Mind control. The human mind can be a beautiful servant or a dangerous master. Now, one of the traps that people fall into when they hear psyops or they hear mind control, they think of some magical, clandestine 24th century device being beamed from a satellite somewhere or some other place, and that's what's really controlling their minds. One of the first things that they teach you in military mind control is your own, getting control of your own mind. And once you can do that and you can understand where all the traps and all the pitfalls are, you can begin to operate in an offensive manner or begin to identify other forces who are attempting to use mind control. Now, if you'd like to join us for a more in-depth discussion of this, of course, there are hundreds of videos talking about this going back all the way to 2018. Truly, over at the Patreon channel. And they're available for every level, 2, 5, 10, and 15. Next 48 hours or so, we're going to put up 2 brand new videos. Those are for the 2 higher levels. We haven't done videos for those folks at the unit commander, brigade commander level in a while, so we're going to get them some content up for sure. But once again, join us over there. Believe me, there's content over there you need to see, especially with the direction this country is going. We've got India and Pakistan is shooting war. Russia and Ukraine are still going on. And we're still basically fighting an internal civil war here, deporting people all over the place for one reason or another. And all this is going to have an effect. All this long term is going to have an effect. And how many of you have caught yourself playing Insomnia Jeopardy? Now, the strange thing about this little calendar is that with all of the things that you could lose sleep over and you could lay in bed and wonder at night about, most Americans can probably say, yeah, it's one of these 6 things. We ponder about people that have wronged us in the past, and sometimes we sit in cringe moments and think, oh God, why did I do that or say that 20 years ago? Money is always an issue. What was that noise? Am I sick? Do I have this disease or that disease? Or the real big one, ways the world could end. Now, I want to show you guys something that I think is probably going to make a few of you laugh and a few of you get a little bit more sleep. Because we could probably add a whole column into this that would say threats from AI. I brought up 5 pictures that I think a lot of people will appreciate. And it'll show exactly how much of a threat AI really isn't, even though it seems like it might be. Now, once again, join us Patreon channel. Fully refundable first 90 days. No questions asked. Love to have you over there. Let's get right to it. This picture first, though. How many of you have seen this picture I put up before about the 4th little pig? You see the story of the 3 little pigs. That 3rd house was made of brick, and all the little pigs inside were safe. Well, the 4th little pig's house was made of wolf skulls. They aren't very sturdy, but they send a message. See, the idea here was that the pigs were about to go on the offense. And anybody who's ever met a wild boar knows that little pigs don't run from wolves if they have giant tusks. But here's the pictures. Now, what do we have here? A basic survival situation. And I used AI to create these 5 pictures that I'm going to show you. And in every single one of them, we see people mishandling weapons. Here we have a guy who's got a weapon, and he's basically flagging half of his group. There's no way anybody who'd ever held a weapon would do this, would have the muzzle aimed off in this direction at this table. Now, one picture, okay, it's a one-off, right? So I decided, well, let's ask AI the same thing again. And once again, we see here, we've got people aiming weapons in directions they shouldn't be aiming them. We have just weapons laying in the dirt. See all these weapons here that are aiming directly at these guys here? It's absolutely abysmal. Okay, so that's 2, right? Once again, here's a third picture, basically with the exact same prompt. Mishandled weapons. A fourth one. This one was even better. Here, these 2 girls are flagging virtually everybody over here. If this is all the better AI can do, then I don't see that we have anything to be afraid of. I finally got one picture where there was only one person who had a rifle muzzle down by the fire, and that's But that's how long it took AI to figure out, hey, wait a minute. Maybe something different needs to happen with weapons. But I'd like to leave this video with something that might surprise you. Now, this won't surprise you that I've quoted the Patriot Nurse before, but this particular video goes back many years. And she said something here that I think everybody needs to hear, and it's going to explain itself. I don't need to lead it in.
One of the things that I see is this unfortunate self-satisfaction that comes with purchasing a firearm or purchasing ammunition in bulk, and the priorities are screwed up. I made a video a while back when I called attention to the fact that people store tens of thousands of rounds of ammo, and when it comes right down to it, their marksmanship is abysmal. And I'm not talking about plinking away at a range. I'm talking fundamentals on demand, on a timer, doing various different compound movements and compound skills and compound drills. And most people who are storing large amounts of ammunition and who have large amounts of weapons that have purchased, they cannot meet basic standards, whether it's the FBI qualification or other popular standards like the CSAC qualification. There are many different ways that you can objectively assess your ability to defend yourself. And purchasing weapons is just part of the equation. Competency you cannot buy. And unfortunately, people don't like having their egos bruised, but I would rather offend someone online and say, listen, I know that you've got a pretty arsenal, baby, and I know that you've got a pretty stockpile, but unless you can meet objective standards, you're not prepared. And people don't want to hear that, but that's God's honest truth, and I'm going to call it like it is. So war.
And that comes down to basic psychology, doesn't it? The idea that you would have in your mind that you could go buy tens of thousands of rounds of ammunition, buy all these weapons, and then just go to the range and go plink, 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 and say, well, got that box checked off. Doesn't work that way. It's the same thing with your mind. Just saying, okay, once or twice a day, I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to try to reorganize my thoughts and then find a way to get through whatever I'm getting through and then just move on and forget about it and then be manipulated the rest of the time is the exact same analogy as what the Patriot Nurse just described. You cannot purchase competency. You have to go through some basic things that aren't fun to understand how the mind works, just like how a weapon works. Now, like she said, sometimes that bruises egos. Sometimes that ruffles feathers. What we're going to be facing in this country isn't going to be Red Dawn. In fact, there might be an occasion when perhaps we might welcome the Russians and the Chinese, as opposed to an alternative power that is attempting to take over the country that is far worse than the Russians or far worse than the Chinese. And because we haven't done our due diligence, we are unable to defend ourselves anymore. And that's kind of the direction we're heading. So, once again, Psychological Operations 101 is just like training with a weapon. The mind is a weapon, just like any toy you might buy at the gun store. Just having basic proficiency, knowing how to load it, knowing what direction to aim it. Okay, if that's good enough for you. But mark my words, when things get hot and things get ugly, you'd be surprised how quickly people seize up. And they forget how to do the things they've only done a half a dozen times. Same thing with the mind. If you haven't taken time out every day to do a mental exercise, to step back and say, wait a minute, which one of these 24 cognitive biases, which one of these 24 logical fallacies, which ones did I fall for today? How can I correct that? You're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble. So, just saying, wise words. It's one of the reasons that I've talked about the Patriot Nurse. If you go back through her content, she has a lot of stuff that really a lot of people need to absorb if they're going to survive. And personally, it's because I think she's been through some stuff in her life that's forced her to go through it and understand it. So, once again, well said. An incredible 1 minute of content, 1 minute and 20 seconds of content right there. The most important prepping advice ever, priorities. The Patriot Nurse, check that out. God bless all of you. Thank you so much for being here. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Links to the Patreon channel are down in the description. Love to have you there. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.